Okay, so this is a teaser for Limbo. And then after that is Limbo the video, which I want to just briefly hit again before we go back into it. This looks familiar. Jeez. Wow. I'd like to point out that in his live, Ian said it's not his mental illness, it's his special gift. Man. I mean, I see it. That's, wow. You know what it honestly makes me think of? And I feel like I should save this for the end when I kind of give you my final thoughts, but just it's something similar to the notion of what we talked about in the Rose breakdown of the Heal album, where we talked about how, you know, life kind of happens sometimes and it's easy to get kind of spiraled into this one spot, and then you just kind of sit there and you let life happen to you. And sometimes it's just a matter of you having enough of that and then taking action out of it. Instead of saying, I'm gonna let life happen to me, I'm gonna do something about it. I feel like this is a great representation of somebody that life happened to them and they found a way to manage it, to make it work. Wow. Okay, so I have seen Limbo, but again, we're going to go through from the perspective of us and his journey now that we understand it, now that I understand it. I was never insane except upon occasions when my heart was touched. Edgar Allan Poe.
Don't waste your tears on somebody you can't even say. Lay down to the wall. It's where I'm at. See you at the other side. Worlds will just leave me in two pieces. I left my heart down in the basement, where all the ravens take their turns, picking at what's left of. I took you out of my existence, only to crawl back into your arms, knowing how much it will take away.
Did you catch that? Did you catch that color change on the tie? Just a few frames. Red, blue, one frame of blue, green, red, and then we're out.
Do you think we are really dreaming? Can someone tell me where I am? Running out of sun. I took you out of my existence, only to crawl back into your arms, knowing it will make me go insane. Go.
Jeez. Wait, this is the next video. Hang tight. Even though autoplay is off, you space butthole of a browser. Let's see here. Yeah, so that was my question. That Key asked, is this supposed to be like Mr. Insanity and Mito clashing? Because red is red Mito? Yeah. Red. Yes, black, white, red. Red, and then purple, green, and yellow are Mr. Insanity. So they're fighting for control. Okay, so that's good to know because earlier we had discussed the potential of the linear aspect or the chronology of a switch, or when the switches happen. Does it always go from Christian to Mr. Insanity to Mito? We have pieces of that puzzle, but we don't know for sure. And then after Mito, does it always go back to Christian? Can it go to Mr. Insanity? I don't know. Fighting for control as the host. Yeah, I saw the eyes changing color. Yep. Interesting. I think it's also interesting, too, that now the masks we see don't just have the one spot for the eye. They have all kinds of holes. That's interesting. Like the You remember how earlier we talked about he's kind of set up this structure of things. Mito follows this pattern. These are your keys to decipher where Mito is. These are your keys to figure out Mr. Insanity. And you kind of have that legend to follow. But here it feels like, and it makes sense because they're kind of vying for control, they're battling, that structure begins to fall away. The chaos is growing and the safety of understanding X, Y, and Z begins to deteriorate. Yeah, the structures are breaking down. So you mentioned the changing quote. So this was the first one. I was never insane, except upon occasions when my heart was touched. And in the end, let's see where it was. I think it was back here. I was always insane, except upon occasions when my heart was touched. Got it. Jeez. Red? Well, it says like an orange, but if we say it's red into, what's that, blue? Kind of? Bluish? Okay, I can't necessarily say that's a switch from Mito to Mr. Insanity. Because this is, if we say this is red, I can't really call this purple, really. It's blue. That's how you get a hybrid. Makes sense. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Oh, man. I mean, I've been telling you my thoughts for the last 4.5 hours. So those of you that are here that were not necessarily listening to Ian before, and you joined us on this deep dive, what do you think? Mind-blowing. Just so impressive. I can't even. Eye-opening ride. Yeah. I absolutely think that one of the upcoming album breakdowns that we do, the dissections where we just tear shit apart left and right, should absolutely be one of his. Brain is overloaded and I am emotionally overwhelmed. He is so absolutely. He is so amazing. It's okay, Ren. I have a huge crush on Ian now too. This dude is like, I just wish I could do what he does. That's incredible. I do again, because this was the last video on the list. I do want to say again, I think there is, if I could essentially wrap my thoughts up into a package. Like I talked about his editing, I talked about his directing, his music is amazing, but his storytelling ability and his visuals are just unmatched. But beyond that, I think it's so fascinating that, again, I go back to, if I'm not going to speak for you, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, I'm going to speak for myself, how it's very easy to end up in that position of woe is me, or, life is just kicking my ass, and we just kind of sit there and take the beating, And I'm very guilty of that, because when that happens, I really don't know what to do. And I just kind of close in on myself, usually, until I figure it out. And then I kind of climb out of that hole. But, like, why does that have to take a month? Why does that have to take 3 months, 6 months, depending on what the catalyst was? It always ends. Whatever this spiral is that I experience, I don't know if you can relate to this at all. Whatever the spiral is that I'm going through, it's either going to be a couple days, maybe a couple hours, could be a week, could be 6 months. It always ends when I make a conscious decision to take action and do something about it, And I think, again, he is an incredible example of somebody that life has happened to him in different ways, and he took action and he managed to move forward. That's incredible.